I'm a player, 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 oh, 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 I'm a player. If you see me looking clean cut, matching from head to toe, dipping with a mean strut.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ghettofabulous Warhammer. This is episode 8, and it's a very special episode because today we have a double header. That's the first part of the special. And the second part is that it's against a new opponent, Lizardmen. So a little something different than just elves, and more elves, which is good. This mission will be Blood and Glory. In fact, both games, the double header, will be on the same table, same armies, same mission. Speaking of same, my Dark Elves list hasn't changed. Level 4 Sorceress and a Horse with Power Stone, Lore of Death, and she rolled up Spirit Leech, Doom and Darkness, Caress, and Purple Sun. I don't remember. I think I got Aspect of the Dread Knight and swapped it out for Spirit Leech. Normally I do that with Doom and Darkness. It's, I guess, more of a finesse, more of an advanced spell. I'm kind of still in the just kill stuff mode. I know it's a powerful spell. I've seen it used to good effect. I just have not been able to get a lot of use out of it yet. It's a little more in depth than I'm used to at this point. Purple Sun, however, I usually swap out when I'm facing elves, and I was quite happy to keep it. I have my two masters both on Pegasus, one with the Lance and the Cloak of Twilight, one with the Sword of Might, Charm Shield, and Dawnstone. I have a third master on a Dark Steed. He's the BSB. He's got Dragon Helm, the Potion of Strength, and the Luckstone. 3 squads of 12 Dark Shards. Each one has a standard, and one of them has a standard of Flame. 6 Shades, 8 Shades, 4 Bolt Throwers, 2 squads of 10 Warlocks, and 10 Dark Riders with all the fixins and a standard. There's my army laid out in all of its unfinished glory. In the lower left, you'll see the 2 squads of Warlocks. Yeah, they're still in the works. Actually, good news is I've got 10 of them put together and painted. So in the next couple of battle reports, you'll start seeing them at least not as heavily proxied. On the far right as well, you'll see a white horse with a white person standing next to it. That's the level 4 sorceress and her steed. I finally, just in the mail, got a model I'll be using for a sorceress that will fit on that horse well. So the model's a little smaller than I'd hoped, so it looks a little wonky, but it's better than what I've got, and will actually sit on the horse properly. So that will be addressed as well in the near future. Here's my Lizardmen opponent's army. He, of course, has a Slan. He's got the, I don't know, whatever it's called, that gives him 3 channel dice, and he took the channeling staff, so that makes sense. He the Slants is BSB, and he rolled up Flesh to Stone, Throne of Vines, Shield of Thorns, and Regrowth. He's pretty happy with most of those spells. He is hoping for Dwellers, of course, but didn't get it. He got an Old Blood on a Cold One with a Great Weapon, Dawnstone, Armor of Destiny, and the other Trickster Shard. In the past, he had been using 2 what I called Scarvets on Cold Ones, but recently switched just with the end times and everything, a lot of bigger lords and killy things are running around. So looking for something to deal with those, he ended up just beefing up. Instead of having 2 little lords or 2 little heroes, have 1 big Old Blood. And this guy is pretty solid. A couple of games ago, I saw him playing against a Demon Prince, and with a 1-up armor save re-rolling, and then a 4-up ward. He's not taking a lot of hits unless you're really powerful. And he hits pretty hard, too. I think he strikes 7 with 5 attacks or something crazy, so not bad. He's got 2 level 2 Skinks, 1 with Wild Form and Amber Spear, 1 with Flock of Doom and Transformation, and I don't think he actually had the Dispel Scroll. I was talking to him afterwards, so he may not have that, which, well, we'll see, but I think, especially with a Lizardman army, might be a good investment. He has an Ancient Stag with Inch of the Gods, a Young Stag with the mini bow, the Great Bow mini Bolt Thrower. Bastiladon, 3 squads of 10 skinks, 20 Temple Guard with full command, and his champion had just some cheap magic sword, so he had some kind of magic weapon, and 36 Saurus with full command and spears. And there they are, laid out. There's the table, which, again, I haven't played that many games of fantasy, but it seems like a decent amount of terrain. 4 forests, 3 ruins, impassable terrain, building obstacles, and 2 little hills. There's a diagram of the battlefield. And setup. My opponent had the top of the map there. So my left, his right, he's got some skinks in the woods, his young stegodon, and then his ancient stegodon. Moving to his center, you can see his temple guard with 1 priest in the slant, of course. Bastiladon behind them, and then the larger block of Saurus with another skink priest and the old blood in there, and some skinks on the flank. And on my far right, his far left, his last squad of skinks in the woods. My lines. My left, you can see the Pigmaster with the lance and the Cloak of Twilight hiding behind the rock there. Warlocks with the BSB in the front. And really my thought there was, especially when I get first turn, he can just drink his potion of strength, charge the young stag, and between his, maybe what, strength 8, and then a bunch of poisoned attacks, we should be able to take the young stag out pretty easily. Bolt thrower on the hill, crossbowman in the back. Upper right corner there are my shades. His guys, his lines spread along his field pretty well, and but within 12 inches or so. So I didn't have anywhere really in the back I couldn't really infiltrate or scout my shades behind him. Nowhere else really to go, so I just kind of deployed them along with the rest of my lines. Crossbowman in the forest there, kind of close. I kind of figured to get some easy shots off, trying to kill or wound one of his stags, and then eventually just kind of run and make the Saurus have some failed charges. A couple bolt throwers on the bottom, and then my right flank, you can see those are Dark Riders in the front, Warlocks with level 4 in the back. In the woods, I have my bolt thrower that looks suspiciously like a Bright Lance. It's colored dark, very strange. Crossbowman in the woods there. Shades on the far right, and in the back, you see my other Pegmaster with the Dawnstone and everything. I had actually forgotten about her in deployment, and everything was laid out, and they're ready to go, and it's like, oh, crap. I left him on the table there. So I just kept him where he was and went from there. There's the lineup. And again, my general game plan, roll up the flanks, kill the little chaffy units, the solo models like the monsters he's got, be weak and soft in the center, lure him in, and then whittle those blocks down at the end. Actually, I don't usually assault the stags, but in this particular case, with those warlocks and the BSB, it seemed like I had a pretty good chance of quickly overrunning that one. And then I can just focus all my fire on the old stag, who's a little tougher target with the 6-up ward. And I don't know, that would set me up for future success, I thought. Rolled for first turn, and I got it. And my Pegmaster on the left with the lance charged the skinks and made it. So he crashes into them. My BSB and Warlocks charge, and he flees with his young stag. I suppose maybe I could have tried to redirect the Ancient. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe because the train was in the way. Maybe because it wasn't my original plan. So I just failed the charge there. Not too much movement left on the left flank there. The shades move over a bit. That's about it. In the center, my Warlocks with the Sorceress move over a bit. just to get in, I think they were, just get 24 inches away from his ancient stag so I could try to snipe it with something. Spirit Leech, probably. Warlocks move, or the Dark Riders move up, as you can see there, so I can get a bead on the skinks. Shades move up, shoot the skinks in the open as well, and my Pegmaster flies up. Magic comes up 5 dice to 2. And I do get a Spirit Leech off, and I put 4 wounds onto the Ancient Stag, so that's a good start with the magic phase. And with shooting, we managed to kill the Ancient Stag. So, good progress there. Kill 3 skinks in the open and 1 in the forest. Not great, but, every little bit counts. And my Pegmaster does well. He's got 3 attacks, he kills 3. The Pegasus has 1 attack and kills 1, and then has a stomp and killed 1. So 5 for 5, and no wounds in return. He's in the woods, though, so he's steadfast. And we move on. So there's a summary for the turn. Not bad. Pushing up on the left flank, killed one of his solo monsters, Old Stag, which is good. And we're whittling away on the right. So can't complain about that. On his turn, he had an angle for his Old Blood to charge out of the Saurus and at the Dark Riders. I didn't want any part of that, so he fled. The crossbowman did not flee, so that was good. On the left flank, the Temple Guard of the Slan charged up my Warlocks and BSB, and it was, if I recall, a bit of a long charge, but close enough that he had a good chance of making it, or too good a chance of making it, so we fled. His skinks run up to shoot my shades in the face, and the rest of his center there just advances. And the young stag in the back there turns to face my Pegmaster with the lance, hoping that, the skinks get really lucky and he can hold on for a couple turns. He can charge me in the flank, which I think both of his stags have sharpened horns, so D3 wounds with those impact hits. That guy doesn't have a ward save against melee. That would be painful. I put a die there. When my Warlocks fled, they went through the impassable terrain there. They took a wound and lost a guy. I didn't get the total magic phase, but I pretty much dispelled everything he had. But I forgot about a stupid Bastillodon. Usually I focus on protecting my squads and dispelling magic missiles. Letting things like Flesh to Stone, Regrowth, whatever off. Just forgot all about the stupid Bastillodon. He had 1 die left. He hit with it, and he rolled well and killed 5 of my crossbowmen. So that was painful. His skinks only killed 1 shade, though, so that was good. And in melee, I go 5 for 5 again, kill all the skinks, and reform to face the center of the board. I did take a wound, though, you can see, so the skinks did scratch me. Wasn't sure if I was going to charge the young stag or not. I think he's toughness 6, maybe. I have strength 6 in the charge, D3 wounds. Maybe. We'll see. So there's a summary. He did some charging, pushed me back a little bit, but didn't do any real damage, didn't kill anything. Well, except for a shade and put a wound on my Pegmaster. So, yeah, not bad. My turn. I charge my shades into his skinks. He flees, and he gets away. I had a heck of an advantage, but I rolled terribly, and I think he rolled very well. So that was disappointing. My Warlocks with BSB do not rally, and they keep on trucking toward the board edge, and now they're very close. If they don't rally next turn, they will probably be off the board. That would be very unfortunate. My Dark Riders, however, decide to rally, so there's something good. Pegmaster flies up, and now he's got an angle at both squads of skinks, so he can clean up whatever he needs to. And the center, you can see my other squad of warlocks with the level 4. They move up. Now level 4's got a nice shot down the line in case I get lucky and get Purple Sun off. And not too much in the center left here, just a little shuffling around with my troops. Magic comes up 7 dice to 6, and I put the little dead crossbow in there to let you know that the 6 was mine, actually. He channeled quite a bit. That's the first time where on my casting phase I actually had fewer dice than my opponent's dispel. But 6 dice is all I needed. Since he had more, I was just going to go for Irresistible, and if I'm going to go for Irresistible, might as well throw for Purple Sun. So we go big, and there's my roll. So, not Irresistible. I just went for the regular non-boosted version. I don't know if people usually go for the boosted version when they're trying to 6 dice it. You know, the regular version seems plenty powerful, and I'd hate to roll just under the casting cost and then not have my opponent, where he might fail to dispel it. So I don't know. Just went for the smaller version, hope to get it off, and I did. That was large enough, but with his 6 dice, he was easily able to dispel. So instead, we go to shooting, and I'm not quite sure why. I don't normally concentrate fire on the blocks, but we did, and we killed 8 of the Temple Guard, which is a good start to wearing them down. And shooting on the right, we took out the skinks that were in the open. So there you go. Not a devastating round by any means, but we're working on the smaller block, and we took out one more of the chaffee units. And my Pigmaster in the back, the middle of the top of the screen there, he was actually, I didn't charge the young stag, and actually he was actually turned to face the Bastillodon more. I figured, I don't know, I'm a little hesitant. I didn't want to charge the young stag. He's a softer target for shooting, so I'll just shoot him for a few turns, and my Pegmaster can charge the Bastillodon. Don't think his toughness is as high. His armor's better, but he's just not as tough an opponent. So, plus he's giving all the Sauruses a +1 to their initiative, which makes them a little more resistant to Purple Sun. His turn. He charges his Saurus block in my crossbowman. I'm not sure why I didn't flee here, but I didn't. I did stand and shoot. I killed 2, and I just took it on the chin. His Old Blood charged my shades on the far right edge. I couldn't really flee because I just would have gone off the board, so I figured I'd at least stand and shoot, maybe get a lucky wound off. I didn't get a wound off in his shooting. We'll see how melee goes, but probably not well. My other hope was if he killed me, I think as a Saurus he has to overrun, so maybe he just run off the board and waste a turn. His skinks up in the top there turn to face my Pigmaster and shoot at him. He's got the Dawnstone, so I'm not too worried. And everything else kind of moves up. His young stag turns around and moves up right next to my Pegmaster there. So I don't want to stick around that spot anymore. Magic comes up 6 dice to 3. And he gets regrowth off and heals back 5 of the 8 guys I killed. So there goes a lot of my progress from last turn. And as you can see, the Old Blood goes crazy and horribly slaughters my shades. One of them survives, but he gets run down. And the Old Blood overruns quite a bit, but not quite off the board. He's right at the edge. Not sure if that was good or not. I mean, he's got to turn around and waste a turn either way, I suppose. And I guess I have the option now of shooting at him, but really I'm just going to avoid him and focus on other softer targets. This battle was destined to go poorly, but it went even more poorly than normal. I only killed 1 of his Saurus, and then he killed a ton of my crossbowmen. They flee, lose their standard, and he doesn't bother pursuing since they're at a quarter strength and Snake Eye has to rally. And he just reforms to face the rest of my guys. So there's the summary. And I don't want to say I'm panicking, but I'm not killing as small chaffy stuff as quickly as I'd like. And the blocks are starting to get into the meat and potatoes of my army. And I don't have a lot of room to run. He's going to start killing more crossbowmen, more bolt throwers, and I'm going to have a hard time killing those big blocks unless I get a lucky purple sun off. Beginning of my turn. Pegmaster of the Lance charges the Bastiladon, and the Bastiladon flees. I don't want to charge into one of his Saurus blocks, so I'm kind of stuck there, and I'm still in the Stegodon's front arc. So I'm going to get a rear charge from the young Steg. That's not going to be pleasant. My Warlocks with the BSB roll to rally and fail and flee off the board. So there's what, 400 points gone. That hurts. Far right corner, my Pegmaster charges his skinks in the woods. They flee, and I roll really well. Roll right through them, cut them down, and end up way over there. So that's good. 70 points, and now I'm in position to, I don't know, charge a Stegodon or something. Crossbowmen continue to flee, but they don't get quite off the board. And I move my shades up in front of his temple guard. He's gonna just chaff him up. He'll have to charge over, well, kill him, and then either reform if he's lucky or maybe overrun into the impassable terrain. Either way, sacrifice a small squad just to slow him down a little bit. And on the right, people in the woods start moving away. Dark Riders start moving, just trying to get away from his old blood, give him fewer targets to kill. Magic comes up 3 dice to 2, so a very poor magic phase. But it's just enough for me to use my Power Stone and go for a Purple Sun. That's what I do. The small one, of course. And sure enough, I get it off. It goes off irresistibly. Not necessary, but I'll take it. And there you go. You can see I rolled 30 inches of distance. So I clipped the back of his big source block and then right through the meat of his temple guard. And there's the damage. I kill several Saurus and then tons of temple guard. And I suck up the Slan as well. That was the big target. That's the one I wanted, and I got him. So very nice. There's the piles of bodies. And I take a wound on my level 4. I think I might have lost a Warlock too, but well worth it. Yeah, I'll take 1 wound for all that any day. With my remaining dice, and now my newly earned ones, we cast Soul Blight on the remaining Temple Guard. The Warlocks here hit them, that's fine. And then with our shooting, we're able to kill all the Temple Guard but the champion, and we put 1 wound on the Skink Priest. So there's a summary of the turn. Devastating, very effective. So pretty pleased. Now I just have a couple monsters to kill. A tiny bit, the wounded Skink Priest and the last dude from Temple Guard to clean up, and it should be good. And at this point, technically, it's Blood and Glory, so he's broken. We had agreed that most tournaments don't have the game end immediately, like the book says. So we said we'd keep going if you wanted to. Just view it as a 500 victory point boost or something if you broke your opponent first. Young Stegodon charges my Pigmaster. Because it was a rear charge and everything, I decided to flee, and I didn't make it. I rolled poorly, and he rolled well, and he ran me down. He's desperate at this point. He doesn't have a lot of options, so his wounded Skink Priest and Saurus or Temple Guard champion charge my Shades. And the magic phase, he casts Wissen's Wild Form on them, so that pretty much just canceled out Soul Blight. But it didn't matter. My guys strike first, they've got better weapon skill, they chop them both up and then reform. And that's, he moved a little bit more. I don't even know if his Bastildon may not have rallied, may have run a little bit. But that's the end, and really, at this point, he conceded. The writing was on the wall. So, Dark Elf victory for game 1. He earned about 716 points. He killed my BSB, one of my Pegmasters, a Warlock squad, and the larger squad of Shades. He probably got another 160 for the, who are they? The crossbowmen that we're going to run off the board. For me, I earned about 1,315 points. I killed a Slan, a Skink Priest, 20 Temple Guard, the Ancient Stag, and 3 squads of Skinks. After action report, review, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I've played him several times. It's my son, so I've played him several times before. His army has changed a bit. Mine's changed a lot. In fact, he called me out and challenged me and said he thought he could take me. It was a closer game. I'm not sure if it's it must be because of some of the changes I've made. His larger blocks are really tough to clear out, at least with most of my army. I can't assault them very well. Shooting them little by little isn't going to whittle them down, especially with things like regrowth. Yeah, I've only got, like the next point says, Purple Sun. It's really my only answer to clearing out blocks, or at least clearing them out in any kind of quick manner. That's why one of the reasons I take Death, so I can snipe characters, which is kind of important. And so I have a option to clear large blocks of troops out. Against elves, even a large block of elves is probably easier to shoot off the board. But Saurus, higher toughness, better armor, they're kind of a pain. Ogres, other stuff. Purple Sun's really good for that. So that's why I take it. But I've never really had to use it before. And getting at the point where, oh, I'm in trouble. This game's not going really well with my regular game plan. These blocks have to die. And now it's like, okay, I have to 6 dice it. I have to get it irresistibly. I have to hope I don't roll a misfire on the artillery dice and have it scatter. A lot of things have to come into play for it to actually get off. And when the whole game's riding on it, that's not a comfortable feeling. I need to be more cautious in my BSB. I've never really had the problem of him fleeing off the board like that before, but he doesn't get the reroll when he's fleeing. And yep, it bit me this game. And maybe it's, it maybe it's fairly rare that it's going to happen, but yeah, that's a lot of points, and he's pretty important. So maybe instead of putting him in the front line and looking at him to fight as much, keep him a little bit more in the back. Use him more as a salty counterpunch with that push to strength instead of trying to push the issue and be in the front and be in harm's way. Overall, I can't complain too much. My game plan still worked. Working the flanks, killing the chaff, and then focus on the blocks. But there's a lot of luck and a lot of stress involved in getting the big killy spell I need. But if I didn't have Purple Sun, I would have had some trouble. Getting the spell off, which could take several turns if I don't get the right dice rolls, and getting lucky on my opponent not getting dwellers and having a spell to nuke me with. Because that spell's, if he gets it off, there's a 50-50 chance I'm going to lose my sorceress. He didn't have it, so I could kind of run around with impunity. But if he had it, that changes the calculations. Anyway, on to game 2. Same army, same everything, same battle, same mission. The only difference is we did reroll spells, and this time I got Caress, Spirit Leech, Fate of Buna, and Purple Sun. Last time I had, like I said, the one that lowers leadership. This time I got all the snipey spells and Purple Sun, which I'm a little more comfortable with, so that was good. My opponent's spells, most importantly for him, he did get Dwellers Below, along with, actually I think he got all the spells he really likes. Flesh to Stone, Regrowth, Throne of Vines, and then his two Skink Priests have Flock of Doom, Amber Spear, Wissons, and Transformation. So those are the spells he pretty much wants, so he was happy with that. Like I said, same battlefield. Similar deployment, but a little different. Well, similar for him, way different for me. My left, his right, Skinks in the Woods like last time. This time he has his old blood out, along with his young stag there. Just trying to increase the number of threats coming at me, I think. Temple Guard with one priest. Ancient Stag in the middle with Bastiladon right behind. And then the large source block with the other priest. And my right flank, two squads of Skinks in the Woods instead of the one out in the open. Here's the mess that is my side. The left flank is a disaster. I was terrified of Dwellers, probably a little too much. But, my Warlock squads are really expensive. So they're a good target. I didn't want to put my BSB in level 4 in either of them and make a really obvious target. But, yeah, where do you put them? So I ended up putting them in the back behind the hill so they couldn't be seen alone. And then you see the two Warlock squads up in the front, crossbowmen. When you see the overview, you'll see I put the two Pegmasters on the left there as well. I just wanted to work that flank really hard. And then there's two Bolt Throwers. My center, Dark Riders, crossbowmen, just kind of out in the open there, and a Bolt Thrower. And my right flank, Bolt Thrower in the woods, crossbowman in the woods, and both squads of Shades. Didn't have anywhere else really to put them. And the flank lets them use their mobility a bit, so that's where I went. There's the overview. So again, looking at my general game plan, working the flanks, killing chaff and single monsters, easier targets. Right flank, I've got plenty of shooting, so I can shoot the Skinks down, and he can't come out in the open against me, so should have that one secured up. Left flank, Skinks, easy target. Young Stegodon is an easy target. I can assault him or shoot him. The Old Blood's a bit more problematic, but with mobility, most of the things on the left can just avoid it, aside from the Bolt Thrower and Crossbowman. And the center is pretty much empty. If he wants to push his blocks forward, all he's going to really be able to grab is a crossbow squad or a Bolt Thrower or two. In Vanguard, Dark Riders move up to the edge of the woods there, and the Warlocks that were up there move back a bit. But that's it, nothing too drastic. I win the roll off for first turn, I take it. Warlocks that were behind the statue move up and left to the side of his army there. Both the Pegmasters jump over there as well. The Warlocks that were towards the center move behind the statue. Crossbowmen pretty much stay there. My level 4 moves to the left so she can get line of sight and be within 24 inches of the young stag, because stags are good targets for Spirit Leech. There's a view of my flanking move there, so I got some options next turn. Not a lot of movement in the center. They're just going to shoot, probably as Ancient Stag, put some wounds on it. And the right flank, no reason to move here. We're just going to maximize. We're already -2 to shoot the Skinks, so might as well stand still and not make it -3. Magic comes up with a good roll of 8 to 3. And I put a little die there just to indicate that we channeled twice. And despite him having 5 channel dice, he didn't channel at all. So bad news for him, good news for me. Unfortunately, I only managed to put 1 wound on his young stag. And that was it for my magic phase, so a little disappointing. Shooting on my right flank, I kill several of the skinks on the squad on the right. And once I had enough to force a check on them, I started shooting the squad on the left. I only killed 2 there, though, so only 1 check, and he passed. Put 2 wounds on the ancient stag, which is fine. So there's the overview of the turn. In general, underwhelming. I move and I shoot and whittle things down, but I like to kill something, something the first turn, and I didn't do that. So I'll take what I can get. I guess it could have been worse, but not by much. Bottom of 1, he charges his old blood at my crossbowman, and it's close enough that they decide to run. Plus, I've got my BSB behind the hill, so at least they'll rally. He moves his young stag up and turns his skinks to shoot my warlocks. And his center just rolls on up. They're already getting pretty close. And the right flank, he doesn't do anything. He just sits there in the woods. Magic is 9 dice to 6. And he gets flesh to stone off, I believe, on his old blood, so I won't go shoot him as much. And Throne of Vines on his slan. He also cast Amber Spear at my warlocks. I didn't try to dispel it. I was worried about his other magic missiles and things, so I thought, what's the worst he can do? Well, he killed 2 of them. I was hoping he'd fail to wound's pretty unlikely, but, 4 up ward, I figured I'd stop it. But no, he killed 2. So, not bad for him. Shooting. Oh, my left flank. My poor left flank. So, his skinks kill 3 warlocks, which is painful enough. But then his young stag shoots my master that has just a Dawnstones, no ward save. He rolls a 6 to shoot, so that's a hit, and it's poisoned, so it wounds automatically. And then he rolls like a 5 or a 6 for the D3 wounds. No save, nothing, boom, instantly. Just blows that master away. And then the other master fails his panic check and runs off the board. So there's the overview of the turn. Suddenly the left flank is looking much different than it did at the beginning of the turn. And my calculations over there are going to change. Because, the masters aren't super powerful, but they, I was kind of counting on them to help out with that stupid stag. Everything else, well, and the more I look at it, that right flank, I can sit there and shoot at a skink, so it's going to take forever at that rate to clear them all out. And they're only worth 70 points each, so he's tying up a lot of my shooting for very little. So I feel like I'm almost being suckered over there. So we'll see what happens next turn. Top of 2, my warlocks charge the skinks in the woods. He flees. I catch him, and you can see at the very top there they ran through quite a bit. The warlocks that were behind the face, the statue there, move up in front of the young stag, and my level 4 joins them. And the BSB runs behind the statue to give them leadership check assistance if needed, and not get charged or shot. My center, crossbowmen rally, and the Dark Riders who were there have decided to get the heck out of Dodge, and they're gone. They've run way off to the right there, and are out of the charge arc of the Saurus and just behind the building. You can see the shades in the lower right have turned to start shooting at the Ancient Stag because he got Throne of Vines and Flesh the Stone off, so he healed the 2 wounds I did to his Ancient Stag, and it's back up and healthy. And on the right, aside from the 6 shades on the left, the other 2 squads stay in there just so they can keep shooting skinks, because everyone loves to shoot skinks. And the crossbowmen that were in the middle just backpedal a little bit. The Saurus were getting too close, and I want them to either have to do a long charge or march again. Magic comes up 12 dice to 7, so I've got a bit of an advantage here. First off, I don't remember which. I probably. I don't think I had Fate of Buna, so it's probably the other one. Caress, and I snipe out his Skink Priest. So he's gone. I then put Spirit Leech on the Steg and do 3 wounds to it. As you know, always hoping to kill it outright, but 3 wounds isn't bad. Shooting, kill a couple skinks, so that's good. And we put 2 more wounds back on the Ancient Steg. So there's the overview of the turn. And I mean, again, it's a bit underwhelming. I killed a skink squad and did some wounds. Well, yeah, I killed the priests. That's good too, but nothing devastating. And he's going to be moving up even closer. On his turn, his young stag charges into my warlocks, and I was fine with that. I figured I'd get to go first, have plenty of attacks, poison attacks, and I've got a 4 ward against his impact hits, so I was hoping I was good. He was hoping he could get over and get to my level 4, but since I was just an inch away, he couldn't actually wheel and get that far down my line. His old blood charges my crossbowman, and it was a long charge, so I didn't flee this time, and he couldn't make it, so he failed that. And everything else moves up. He had his skink priest bail out of his Saurus block and join the temple guard. And he had his skinks just fall back on the woods over here, trying to conserve points and make me waste my time. Dice magic comes up 8 to 6, and he wanted to throw dwellers at my warlocks with my sorceress, but that was he kind of had that plan in his mind, which is why he wheeled that temple guard squad. But he had already charged the Stegodon, so he couldn't target them anymore. He had 2 good ideas running in his mind that were at odds with one another. So instead, he put, I think he redid Flesh to Stone on his old blood, and that was all he got through. Here's the into the results of the melee between the young stag and my warlocks. He killed 2 with his impact hits, and then we did the 2 wounds to him and killed him. So good trade there. We won combat, and now we're free, and we avoided getting dwellered. And here's the end of the turn. You can see he's pushing forward to the middle. His old blood will definitely be in range next turn. And he's fallen back on the right flank, so trying to deny me some points. On my turn, I'm just going to stand and shoot with my crossbowman. On my left flank, but now behind his lines, we moved quite a bit. The warlocks that had run through his skinks flank around, now they're within 18 inches of his Bastillodon, so they can. And maybe there was 8. I don't think there was 18 of the ancient stag, but so they're in range to doom bolt some things. And the other warlocks with my sorceress move up, so they have a nice purple sun right down his temple guard if I get enough dice. And the BSB floats out as well, just to give leadership bonuses to both squads of warlocks if needed. Not too much movement in my center. I think the crossbowmen backpedal a bit more. And you can see on the right flank there, starting to move forward. So as the Saurus come around that impassable terrain, they don't have a good charge arc. And between the Dark Riders, the crossbowmen, and the larger squad of shades, we can start pumping more shots into his fleeing skinks. Magic comes up 9 dice to 6, And end result, I don't know what else, if anything, came off, but I got an irresistible purple sun, and I put it right through his temple guard. Didn't kill many of them, but I killed the Slan and the Skink Priest, and then it hit the Ancient Stag and sucked him up as well. So ultimately, having just a few of the temple guard die was small potatoes in the big scheme of things. It was irresistible. I lost 3 wizard levels, so I lost Spirit Leech, Caress, and Purple Sun. But again, well worth it. We ended up putting Soul Blight on them as well. So Temple Guard are weakened. And at that point, we called it. Again, technically, he's broken, and losing all of his magic is not going to go well for him from now on. So he conceded. We called it, and that was game. At that point, he had just killed my 2 Pigmasters, so 368 points for him. And I had killed his Slan, both his Skink Priests, both his Stegodons, and 1 of his Skink Squads. So 20 points for me. After action report, I left the same bullet for number 1 from my previous one. I just made it bold and italicized it because, yes, the Purple Sun, again, very tense, very critical to winning this game. And again, even more so because if I had failed, he just would have tried to Dwellers me. So it feels like a dumb old school duel where you're just pointing pistols at each other and taking turns firing. Someone's going to get a hit and it's going to be devastating. Yeah, what if the sorceress dies early? Then I'm really hosed. And I can't complain too much because while the sorceress is critical for me, it's double so for the Lizardmen. I mean, without the Slan, you lose your BSB, you lose your magic, you lose everything. So your general. Keeping my characters out and having run around by themselves, I don't know. I think I overreacted. I think I panicked a bit too much. But I mean, if I had put my BSB and sorceress in a squad of warlocks, he could have very easily just sacrifice a Skink Priest, run them out so that he can channel through them and get range for Dwellers. On the other hand, if I keep him out by themselves, he could run a Skink Priest out and throw Amber Spear or something, just to go for the Hail Mary knockout shot. So it's dangerous either way, I suppose. But ultimately, I think I overreacted, and maybe I could have been a little more calm about it. Just looking at that first slide, my left flank was just such a train wreck, seeing stuff scattered all over and crammed in there. Ultimately, maybe the odds and eggs in one basket thing is a risk I'm going to have to take with this kind of a mobile avoidance army. If I start looking for a big block or something to be able to charge and kill something quickly in melee, then I've kind of defeated the whole point of this army. So that just may be the price you have to pay and the risk you have to take. Also, I put in there, I always forget until after the fact that woods, forests allow you to break steadfast. And maybe it will never be an issue in a game because no one will put a large block, allow them to move into a forest where I could assault them and break them. But it's I never think of it until after the battle. So, looking at the map and thinking about like that forest right in the middle of my deployment area. His source blocks are moving there. Maybe you can bait him into it with something and then charge him from the flank. I don't know. Maybe it's never going to happen, but I never even think about it until afterwards. So there's a lot of little things like that I still need to keep in mind. Finally I lost my masters to poor luck. Excellent luck on his part and poor luck on mine, failing to rally or failing the panic check. that kind of stuff's gonna happen. That's kind of what the BSB is for, though, to keep them around those critical areas. Um, so, part of me thinks maybe I should have run him up along that flank as well, since I had warlocks and 2 masters up there. It's a pretty significant maneuver. On the other hand, I didn't think there was anything that really was going to threaten them that much. The warlocks had to take a panic check too, not only from the master being killed, but just taking 3 casualties from the skink shooting, which wasn't supposed to happen. So I could have lost everything over there. On the other hand, if I put my BSB over there, maybe he would have been the one who got shot by the stag. So ultimately, behind the hill there, he let the crossmen rally. So maybe it was the right call. It was a extremely unlikely thing bad would happen on that left advance, and it just did. And in any dice game, sometimes you'll have those outliers. But again, ultimately, overall, general game plan worked of working the flanks, and then cleaning up, hitting the blocks. Both games I had to use Purple Sun to clean up the blocks, but yeah, I mean it worked, so I can't fault that. But man, it's it's not as risk-free and safe feeling as just whittling down with shooting, maneuvering, and staying safe that way. So, well, anyway, leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. It was an interesting fight, and maybe that's just the gambling kind of feeling you have to get from playing a game of Warhammer. But it was very different than most of my other games, having that feeling of if this spell goes off, I'm screwed, or if he gets his spell off, I'm screwed. And I haven't really had a game where it's come down to that before. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and hope you enjoyed it.